guilt is one of those messy emotions that when I think about it, it's all sticky. It's not clear at all. And it's also one of these things that I'm afraid to say women use much more than men. And I define the difference between a woman and a witch is a woman who is clear with herself and her emotions. And a witch is someone who's able to use guilt to be able to hold on to things, especially men. You know, I'm afraid to say it's kind of a womany thing. And how you can be guilt-free is of being clear with yourself. Let me tell you how I learned it. I was on a plane going to America, and my second marriage was falling apart, and I was going to be attending my parents' 25th wedding anniversary. And I felt like I was wrapped all around myself in guilt. It was just covering me. I was guilty because I realized that my second marriage was failing, and I had escaped my first marriage thinking that it was my husband's fault. But marriage number 2, that was about 20 years ago, by the way. And that when marriage number 2 was falling apart, I realized that the only thing that these two men had in common was me, and that I had to have a look at myself. And that was the beginning of a very long process of clearing my own shadow. And what is shadow? Well, it's as if a teacher of mine called Samuel Bonder used to say, well, shadow is taking a list of all these things that you hoped weren't true about yourself and confirming them one by one. Shadow is what gives you a lot of compassion for others, because you realize that you're not the great person that you thought you were, and that your actual personality is kind of a whingy, cringy type of thing. And what we're doing in this live Advent calendar is switching your identity from thinking of yourself as this little personality, this ego, right, that is this body, and actually realizing that you are the person that is inhabiting this body, that's wearing this body, which is eternal and far greater than your tiny whingy personality. And that is what freedom is. So let's take you through guilt. There are 3 processes. If someone says to you, your husband, your partner, can you get me a cup of tea? You've got 3 choices. You can say, yes, I can get you a cup of tea. Or you can say, I don't really have a lot of time, but because I love you, I will get you a cup of tea. Or what normally happens is that you get him a cup of tea, but inside of yourself you're saying, he's always asking me for a cup of tea. Why can't he bloody well get his cup of tea himself, that lazy bastard? And so what happens is, even though you're doing the thing, you're doing it with resentment and anger. And that is what you're putting out into the world. Doesn't matter whether you're doing something or not. What you're putting out is resentment and anger. So how can you clear yourself from it? Very easily. You have to make a pact with yourself and say, I will never do anything that I don't want to do ever again. It's as simple as that. And there's a codicil to that. And you need to tell the truth. So that means no more white lies. That means no more saying to something, well, and trying to protect their ego, or saying, well, I don't want to hurt their feelings, because that's also part of that kind of icky part of the female nature. Because when you really look at things, it's not that you don't want to hurt someone else's feelings, but you're afraid that if you're going to be telling your truth, that person will separate from you, will go away. Does that mean that when you're doing this that you will lose friends? Yes, it does. But in the long run, you'll realize that they weren't friends at all. Because if people can't take you with who you really are, then they're not really part of your life anymore. So you clear out your life much more, and it makes your life much more simple. Actually, all of this makes your life much more simple, and it makes you being clear within yourself, which changes everything in your life. So let me give you this wonderful exercise. And it was taught to me by someone named Veni Labby, who was a teacher of mine in Vienna, which is where I lived for a long time, and it's called Babble Talk. And what you do is you open up your mouth here, and you either do it with someone, I will be doing it with you, or looking to a mirror. The wonderful thing is you can't take yourself seriously because you're just going to be babbling. So I'll do it for a few seconds, okay? It's pretty ridiculous, isn't it? Is this therapeutic? Yes, it is. Because A, it doesn't make you, makes you realize that we're all a bit silly. And B, you take yourself much lighter. It's easier. Life becomes more fun. And C, next time you need to say something to someone, you can say it easier, which means that your soul is lighter and you are wearing your body in a lighter way.